guys, welcome to Spooktober, day 19. Sorry it's not drawing. Tonight kind of blew up and my original plans kind of got squashed because of some stuff that happened, but I'm still making a video for you guys. So today I'm reading the story I wrote for English class. It has no title yet, but pretty much it's Fennec's backstory. And yes, there will be not a sequel to this video, but a sequel to this story later, just for fun, because I want to. So, here is the story that I wrote for English class. I hope you enjoy. It was a warm summer night, around 12:30 a.m. Amy Lilith had gathered a couple of those related to the Fazbear locations and its various accidents. I've never stepped foot out of the pizzeria since, well, ever, Proto said. Looking around them, they were in front of the massive, locally popular Lilith Museum. The tall white pillars surrounding them created an archway, looking slightly different and as if they were carved by hand. Amy knocked on the door that stood before them, with a loud knock that was heard from downstairs. The large doors opened, and Mary looked on in shock. Standing inside, a stunningly beautiful ginger-blonde, freckled-faced girl. She was about 5 foot, not seeming any older than 16, and she wore a 3/4 sleeve blue button-up with the name E. Davison embroidered over the left breast pocket. "Amy, you actually showed up. After you called, I snuck into your mother's office, grabbed the keys, and almost got caught. Are you sure you want to go through with this?" The girl held a heart-shaped key with an A engraved on the stem. "We gotta do this, Elizabeth," Amy responded, and with a quick nod, she let everyone in. They entered the large building, and upon looking around, it seemed empty, like a missing piece of the puzzle that it was hidden in the couch cushions. They encountered 2 other teens, looking about the same age, if not older than Elizabeth. The boy had short brown hair, fair skin, and 2 different colored eyes, one blue and one green. He had a tattoo of the Jackson Marbles game on his forearm, and the same blue button up with J. Richardson instead of Elizabeth. The other one was a girl. The girl could have passed off as the sister of the boy, but her shirt had A. Roberts instead, and he had normal blue eyes. She was giving Amy a death stare as she waved for them to hurry up. "This is insane," she said the girl. The boy nodded in agreement. "Abigail, Jackson, come on. We have to do this. We need to know what she's hiding from me. Her own daughter. If not for me, do it for them." She gestured to the rest of the group. Abigail looked up, looked at Jackson, then sighed in defeat. "Fine, but if we get caught, Agatha will have my head." Elizabeth led the group down a dark, narrow hallway, with Amy behind her, followed by Mary and Proto, with Abigail and Jackson taking up the rear. They finally made it to an old, rusted door, and as if on cue, Elizabeth took the key and inserted it carefully into the door. It fit. The door opened with a deafening creak into a dark stairwell. "All right, who's going first?" Elizabeth asked, her voice quivering with fear. "I volunteered Jax!" Abigail exclaimed. "What? Heck no. If you're so eager to volunteer someone, why don't you go?" Jackson replied, playfully pushing her towards the door. "Fine, I'll go," Proto said, mouthing wimps as she walked past them. The steps were steep and so dark that even Proto's emergency lights couldn't light their way. Proto lost balance when she hit the bottom and fell into a mysterious box, everyone watching and giggling. "Shut up," she said, blush covering her face. She located a light switch and flipped it on as the others joined her downstairs. The light flickered, then dimly lit the room, full of horrible memories for the 2 robots. There were articles of the 3 main accidents, the bite of 83, 87, as well as the infamous sensor error of 87. Above the first 2 articles, pictures of each of the victims. Mikey and Michael Afton sat, but the victim of the sensor error, Elizabeth Afton, was missing. The walls were, along with the articles, covered with pictures of all the locations and animatronics, once again, with some missing. And at the end of the room, the missing posters for the Green children, now known to have been killed. Mary would know. She was one of them. Boxes upon boxes of blueprints were also strewn about the floor. Yet, still, the missing animatronics were not there. The night guards were looking at articles, piecing together information into stories that they didn't even know. Of course they wouldn't. They would have been too young to have known unless told. Rhoda looked at the books, each one her father's boss and her ghost's father owning, like How to Code Emotions and How to Code Memories, just to name a few. Suddenly they heard a quick squeal from Elizabeth. Before covering her mouth, she was standing in the door of a room that said, The Missing Pieces. Inside was all the missing information. The pieces of the puzzle the room outside was missing. Frodo's photo and blueprints had a picture of Elizabeth Afton beside them, and an eagle sign between them. Frodo blushed as she remembered what has never really been spoken of since that day. Under Mary's name, the name Mary Green sat. Mary looked away to distract herself, quickly finding something. All the animatronics in the accidents were there, but Mango's picture was there too. Why? And why was it alone? Wait just a second, Mary stated, confused. It was a mystery for a while, but Foxy was involved. Why is Mango here? She looked around the room, noticing the blueprint in the trash can, and upon pulling it out, were found to be Mangle's. Written on top of the page was Project Fennec in white ink, and some slight alterations. There's an animatronic besides Faith, stated Amy. I just know it. Frodo took a book off the bookshelf, and as if they were all in a movie, the bookshelf moved, showing a hole about the size of a vent system, and at the end, an open door. Nice work, Pro, Abigail said, punching her shoulder lightly, then shaking her hand in pain. Frodo was first. First. Then Mary, and then the others. Frodo and Mary had seemed to have done this before, because they had. When they came out the other side, they found an office, full of parts and tools. Empty white pens sat in the trash can. There must have been 30. They all heard a glitched, quiet scream, and when they looked, there I was, an unfinished Fennec Fox animatronic. Obviously I was scared. I didn't know them, and by what I've heard about them, they were nothing but trouble. Frodo kneeled in front of me and smiled warmly. Hey, you don't have to be afraid. We're not here to hurt you, just to help. I am Frodo, and your name is? I kind of looked confused at them. I had known her by a different name. It's probably Fennec. After all, that is her project name. In fact, she was right. At least, that's what Agatha always had said. And I couldn't say it for myself, as Agatha hadn't even given me a voice box. So I just nodded. Well, don't worry, Fennec. I'll get you fixed. They got to work, finding a piece here, and a gear there, and the final piece, my voice box. Thank you, I said shyly, with blush filling my face. The first words I ever actually said. It felt good. Suddenly we all heard footsteps coming down the stairs, and Mary gestured to get out of there. Me and Proto were the last two, when Agatha entered armed with a lighter and a glass of water. What do you think you're doing, you Fennec brat? Agatha asked furiously. I could hear Faith in the other room talking to the ones who had already left, while Proto and I stood in fear. Oh, I see you have made friends with Circus Baby. How hilarious. Especially seeing how they wouldn't know what to protect you from. Proto flinched at the name, and stepped in front of me. That's Proto to you, ma'am. And besides, we've protected people from worse than you could ever pull. So bring it on. I looked on. Sure, she's protected people like Mary, Mangle, and Bonnie from things far worse, but they were already made to withstand what I can't. Well, why don't you tell them, Fennec? Tell them what makes you so easily tortured, so easily corrupted, and what made you weak. Faith stepped in finally. She was a 7-foot bear animatronic, in a security guard outfit. She treated me like I was her little sister, teaching me how to read despite my poor eyesight, and showing me how to form words with my mouth before I could speak, expressing her hopes daily that one day Agatha would have a change of heart and finish what she started. But now here we were. We stood across from each other in shock, her looking confused, and me looking more embarrassed. Reaching towards her shoulder, Agatha innocently stated, "Hello, my sweet Faith slapped her hand away, interrupting her. Her eyes were vibrant red and full of years of torment, just ready to burst. "What can't she withstand?" she said, deepening her tone. "What have you been doing to her? What have you been hiding?" The room was silent and full of tension. She stammered, stumbling to get the words out. She smiled and looked up to Faith, then to Proto. "Oh, Elizabeth," she said, making Proto more angry. Your father was very smart, making you able to withstand temperatures of over 800 degrees Celsius long enough to get out of the heat, and temperatures as cold as negative 200 degrees Celsius till you can get warm. You were built to be around children, so obviously you have some sort of waterproofing, as well as proofing to make sure you're of no short circuit when hit with up to 9,000 volts in case of faulty wires. After all, we wouldn't want them to hurt anyone, now would we? Fennec, however, she's special. She has none of those safety measures in place. I was never certified, she stated, looking to each one of us, as Proto took another step forward. I remember the day your father passed the course, while I sat alone, expecting my name to be called among the complete graduates, only to be met by a diploma without the safety precautions piece. So why do something I was never good at, when I could do everything else? Now they would understand my petrified silence when she entered, why I called the items she held weapons, and why I am conditioned to do as others say. I could see tears well up in Faith's eyes as she turned to Agatha and punched her square into the wall. "You lied to me," she called, her voice full of rage and pain, built up from years I spent down here. "I should have never trusted you. I thought you wanted to protect your daughter, but all you did was hide the truth. This wasn't a project like you told me. This is a torture chamber, an experiment. What is wrong with you? She's just a kid." Proto ran out of the room, not wanting to be a part of the fight, but I stayed behind. "Fennec, what are you doing? Now's our chance," she whispered. "I'm going to set things right." I walked up to Agatha and held her to the wall. The odd sense of adrenaline, and Proto being humiliated 3 different times was fuel for my courage, as well as the will to protect the others in the building that night. And I could see the fear I had felt flush over her face. "You're talking about William J. Afton, aren't you? Henry and Lee's partner." She nodded, still trying to get my grip off her shirt. I may be weak in some ways, but my physical strength was stronger. "Proto is possessed by Elizabeth Afton, isn't she?" "Well, isn't she?" "And Mary, one of those green children you told me about." She nodded, and Proto looked away, proving she wasn't lying. She tried to reach for the lighter on the ground, but Proto regained her confidence. "Not this time, Agatha," she said, as she kicked it away. "You will. They'll stay away from me, Faith, Proto, Mary, and any of the night guards, because I am no longer yours to abuse and lie to." I let her go and walked towards Proto. Suddenly, I felt a jolt through my body, and I fell unconscious. "Who's laughing now, you stupid brats?" she said, as I fell to the ground. She held up an electric rod. 10,000 volts sound good to you two." She looked to them. She wasn't threatening to shock me again, and she thought I was a goner. In fact, she was threatening Proto. Faith, her fear was replaced by anger, ran in and pushed her into the wall, knocking the rod out of her hands, picking me up, and they all ran out and whispered, "It's okay, Fennec. You'll be safe soon." I woke up the next morning in their massive house, where humans, monsters, and of course robots lived together. I was on their couch and had a burn mark where she hit me. It stung like a fire was burning when I touched it, so I let it be. Faith ran out and hugged me. "You're okay. Thank goodness. If you had died, I would have killed you," she said. "That's Faith for you, always wanting to be redundant." She handed me a pair of large circular glasses. "I told Enhard about your eyes. He made these. It may not improve them per se, but it will help you to see." The others from that night, alongside Mangle, came into the room and sat. And suddenly, I remembered a discussion me and Agatha had, and a look of panic flushed over my face. "It's not over," I said. "She made more. I met them." And now that they were finished, but they're in danger, and now that Faith's with us, she'll be putting Project Persisec into motion any day now. Proto took my hand and calmed me down. "We saved you, didn't we? So if you're right, and I suspect you are, we'll save them." "I'll get you back one day or another," Agatha said in an evil tone, standing near two bunnies, two wolves, and a shut-down, Mary-like animatronic. "And this time, I'm not letting you go." As she laughed maniacally, they saw the animatronic open her eyes and say, "Project Persisec, ready for orders."